Tony Hembry, and welcome to In God We Trust, a show where we examine a headline through a biblical worldview. Well, the Vatican has officially recognized a state of Palestine in a new treaty, leaving the Israeli government with feelings of disappointment and unwillingness to promote the peace process. The treaty outlines the Catholic Church's activity in the territory. The Israeli Foreign Ministry says this treaty will distance the Palestinian leadership from returning to direct and bilateral negotiations. However, Israel will study the agreement and will consider its steps accordingly. The Vatican's term State of Palestine is not new. They began to use this after the UN General Assembly recognized a Palestinian state in 2012. However, this is the first time the term was used in an official document. John Allen Jr., associate editor of the Catholic Church's Crux magazine, says, "Since the onset of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the Vatican has favored a two-state solution with security guarantees for Israel and self-determination for the Palestinians." And Father Federico Lombardi, the Holy See press officer, told journalists, "Yes, it's a recognition that the state exists." Now, you may be thinking, what's in this treaty that the Vatican feels it necessary to align with an enemy of Israel? Overall, the treaty recognizes freedom of religion in the region of Palestine and outlines the rights and obligations of the Church, its agencies, and its personnel in the territory. It also gives provisions for tax and legal status of Catholic facilities and personnel on the West Bank and Gaza Strip, building upon an agreement set in the year 2000. The implication is for the agreement to encourage the international community to recognize an independent state of Palestine alongside Israel. Conversely, the Jerusalem Post reports that Israel and the Vatican have themselves been unable, after some 16 years of glacial negotiations, to sign an agreement that would deal with such matters as the status of the Catholic Church in Israel, the issue of sovereignty over some 21 sites in the country, and taxation and expropriation issues. The Vatican has faced opposition from its followers and from the media alike for favoring a two-state solution and special treatment toward the Palestinian National Authority. One of the criticisms in particular is that the Vatican-Palestinian agreement is reminiscent of the 1933 Concordat between the Vatican and Nazi Germany. The Catholic Church signed the Concordat with Hitler just 6 months after he became Chancellor of Germany, which outlined the rights of the Catholic Church in the Third Reich. In this agreement, the Catholic Church agreed not to oppose the political and social aims of the Nazi Party. Pope Pius XI was hopeful that the reverse would also be true, but the party interfered in a big way. Students were pressured to join Hitler's youth movement, taking them away from their Catholic youth associations. There was a movement to banish the crucifix in schools. Parents were also pressured to withdraw their children from parochial schools and place them in the state-approved schools, whereby in 1939 most of the Catholic schools disappeared in Nazi Germany. Also, priests were warned not to criticize the leader or his regime. Those who did were arrested and tried for oppositional activity. What's more, bishops swore an oath of allegiance to the Third Reich, and clergy were prohibited from engaging in political activities and holding a political office. Some German Catholics saw the signing of the treaty as their church officials softening their stance toward National Socialism, and Hitler interpreted the Concordat as winning the church's approval and the regime gaining international recognition as a legitimate world power. Furthermore, the Concordat proved to be problematic for the church itself, as it was reduced to an organization concerned with private matters and was disconnected from the social and political aspects of human life, thereby contradicting its purpose and aim for influence in the region. Now, fast forward 80 years later, and we think this can't happen again? With a regime far more volatile toward the Jewish people and controlled by the terrorist group Hamas? 2 Corinthians 6:14-16 says, "Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness? Or what fellowship has light with darkness? What accord has Christ with Belial? Or what portion does a believer share with an unbeliever? What agreement has the temple of God with idols? For we are the temple of the living God." It is not God's will for us to bow to the enemy in order to gain freedom, especially to those who are bent on the destruction of Israel. You cannot force peace between two parties that have different definitions of peace. It just won't work. Sometimes we have to step back and trust God to work out the details. Well, thank you for joining me today, and remember, when you give to the work of the Lord, you can spread God's message of peace through Bible Discovery TV. One way you can do this is by ordering a beautifully designed t-shirt for you or a loved one from our friends at InspireTees.com. Remember to use the promo code BDTV at checkout to receive free shipping with your order. Well, until next time, let us fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And that is our God in whom we can trust. See you then.